Today's guest on the podcast is David Toupin. Today, he joined us live in the studio. He actually flew his own plane up from Austin, Texas, which is pretty sweet. Landed in Madison. He might be stuck here because the weather's a little bit iffy today, but he started his first business when he was 13 years old. He had 40 different landscaping accounts, mowing lawns in the neighborhood and in the local area that he grew up. And in college, he went to be a pre-med, not a pre-med, but a pre-dental student, and quickly realized and became attracted to real estate. So he stopped that, got involved in real estate, started learning about real estate, ended up buying his first 2 deals, even though he had no money to do so. So he shares with us how he structured that, how he went out about doing that. And then actually right after he closed those deals, he turned around and bought a 96 unit deal right after that. David is also the founder of Real Estate Lab, which is an underwriting software for multifamily real estate. And David is actually most excited about right now a new paving company, asphalt and concrete company that he started just a few months ago. They've already done $2.5 million of revenue, and he thinks that is actually the ticket on how he'll make money to be able to then go invest money into real estate deals and actually one day own 10,000 apartment units all by himself with no other investors. So I hope you guys enjoy this podcast as much as I had filming it here in the studio with David. Take a listen.
They do a lot of cattle around here. Is that big in Wisconsin? Cattle farming?
Yeah, I mean beef.
Oh, you bet.
You got beef and Holstein and
You do?
milk, dairy, right? We got a wide range of stuff. I mean, you always there's usually we'll buy a steer from and that'll fill our fridge of ribeye and
For a
filet.
year. Yeah.
No,
literally.
And I mean, really, it's a pretty good deal.
It's a great deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as you can store it somewhere.
And I don't know if this is true. I'm saying stuff based off secondhand, but somebody said Florida has the biggest cattle farming industry in the country.
Was it a Floridian that said it?
Well, he owns a couple thousand acres down there, so
Okay.
he owns a bunch
Maybe.
of cattle, and he's telling me he's like, did you know Florida actually has more cattle than Texas? I'm like, I don't know about that, but
I think just sheer geography
know.
and size of the state.
There's
makes
a
me
lot of
really
claims.
question
There's
it.
a lot of
of
claims
cattle
these
in
days.
Texas. I mean, there's a lot of cattle in Texas.
a
When
lot
you
of-
think of Texas, you think of cows.
There's a
Yeah,
lot
when
of
you think of
claims.
Florida, you do not think of cows.
I think of
You just
Botox
don't.
and fake
Right.
tits
There's
when I
a-
think of Florida.
Right.
There's a lot of fake claims going on.
And big boats.
Since
And
2020.
alligators.
Yeah, and gators.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Hopefully we got that audio.
Cattle's not.
It's all out.
That's
yeah,
an intro.
Yeah, we've been recording for a while. So,
Perfect.
So
We'll
got,
put that right in the intro.
got it all there.
Sounds good.
The Botox and fake tits.
Yeah.
That's what we're leading the episode with.
David Toupin.
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. The
I'm always
Botox
worried I'm going to say
expert.
someone's last name wrong.
Toupin.
David Toupin. The Botox expert.
Yeah.
Joel, we ready?
Yeah, we're all rolling.
That's my
So-
dad's name and my middle name, Joel.
So before we, when you're not here, we'll end up recording an intro. So we'll just kind of
Sure.
hop right into it.
Yeah.
And if Joel is going to mix, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe some of this is going to be in there. I don't know. But David, thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for
Appreciate it.
flying up. What'd you fly
Yeah.
up on?
So I just got a little 4-seater plane. It's called a Cirrus, a little single engine, high performance piston airplane, and it's been my new favorite hobby.
Nice.
Yeah, got my license a couple years ago and ordered a plane, waited patiently, and
Yeah.
now I'm flying it
Yeah.
literally every day.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
So Joel, I don't think you know this, but David, when we scheduled this a while back, I know we had to reschedule too because I got sick or you got sick or something. I
I
can't
think
remember.
it was me.
Someone, I don't know, or something.
Oh,
Whatever. We had to
that's right.
reschedule.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
but initially when we set this up, you said, "Yeah, we'll come up and shoot a podcast. Then we'll do half of it from the plane while we're flying." I'm like, I ain't getting no. I'm not getting a plane with you flying. I mean, not that I'm not trusting of you, and I believe in your ability.
You never met me before, so I get it. I get it.
Well, we've known each other. I mean, because through social media and Instagram and whatnot. But
Yeah.
I'm just I just it's not something I just really want to go do,
And film at the same time.
Oh, 100%. Well, there's been some people that have done some podcasts because you can record the audio through the headsets, and
Yeah.
it's kind of a cool setting to
Yeah.
get up and talk.
No, so I
go
love
look
the
at
offer. I'm
deals
sorry I
and-
pussied out on that.
No,
but
it's
I
okay.
just-
It's okay. You know what's funny is a lot of people are actually scared to go up. I've
Yeah.
learned. I think that everybody's gonna be like, oh yeah, that sounds so cool. Let's do
Yeah.
it because I think it's so fun. But
Yeah.
It does
half the
sound
people-
cool, and I'm happy for you. And your 250 hours, your 250 is awesome. I just I got 1 year, but my son's about to turn 1. I want to,
Get a jet
You know,
first,
so-
and then we'll go. Yeah.
yeah. So cool, man.
That's
So
awesome.
now you're trying to go. I know, just talking at lunch a little bit. You were you're trying to get to 1,000 hours because you want to upgrade the plane.
Yeah, I want to upgrade. I want to, hopefully the next 2 years, I want to just get enough hours to get into like a Pilatus or a King Air or something like that. Yeah. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Some a little more range.
Yeah.
Less stops, more people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for all you people listening, it doesn't matter. Even if you fly your own jet, like or your own plane, you still got holding costs. It's not like it's not like it's free.
Yeah. So I'll give you a reference. So my plane is, and I guess in terms of general aviation, maybe it's more of an expensive plane, but in terms of planes in general, it's cheap. It's like a little over $1 million, $1.2 million, $1.3 million. And if I don't even fly it or use it at all, it's $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Just sitting there.
and I only put like 60% debt on it.
Yeah.
So I put a big down payment.
Yeah.
But just sitting there.
Yeah.
So it's not a cheap hobby.
No.
And then you get it into jets, and now I have a buddy who's got a CJ3, and he spends $200,000 a month.
Yeah.
And it's like 4 or 5 trips a month, but $2.5 million a year just on the plane.
Yeah. Well,
It's expensive.
whenever you can save time, it's important for you because, you've got a tech company, you've got some real estate, you've got a paving company. How do you do it all?
I like to say I'm a little bit psychotic. I just work a lot, man. Yeah, I think, I get up in the morning and the first thing I think about is what am I going to go knock out and get to the office and start working. And it just really doesn't stop till I go to sleep.
When you say work a lot, what does work a lot mean? How much? What are we talking, like a week or a month? What does it look like?
If we're talking like hard desk hours, like in office hours, like it's 60, 70. But as you know, when you're a business owner, it really never turns off. You get home, you're doing phone calls on the weekends, you're doing meetings, phone calls, taking trips. Like
Sometimes you lay in bed from 11 till 2 p.m. or 2 a.m. just thinking.
Literally, yeah, just thinking or emails on the phone. I mean, it kind of never turns off. So I don't know if I could put a true like hourly on it, but I would just say I'm always working. I'm always available. And some people, we talked like work-life balance. Like I think for me right now, work is my life because my biggest goals are around what I'm building and my team and taking care of them. So, I love what I do. So I don't really even notice it.
Where do you think, the characteristics that you possess and have and, the work ethic, where do you think that came from and when did you first realize that you had it?
Honestly, I really didn't know until I started doing real estate midway through college. But I started my first business when I was 13. And back then I had no clue what entrepreneurship was or what it was like to run a business. But my mom pushed me into starting my own landscaping business. And that was early in high school, and I bought a 0-turn mower, and I was mowing like 30, 40 lawns a week in my neighborhood.
That's a lot at 13.
It was pretty good. Yeah, I was young, and I was making, I don't know, $5-6 grand a month, like at least through the summers, the hot season in Michigan. So even that, like thinking back to then, even then I didn't have it. Like I did that because I think I channeled my energy into it, but I still didn't really have that. What I got later on in college when I started doing real estate, because I really fell in love with real estate. And I think that passion then took me to another level, like actually enjoying what I did, because nobody wants to mow lawns. You're just sitting there sweating, sitting on a lawnmower and, laying mulch down, doing all the bullshit that nobody wants to do. It's not fun. Nobody loves that.
I grew up doing that. My dad, my mom and dad bought their first veterinary practice, and it was like, I don't know, 2 acres to mow. Well, things were tight. Like they mortgaged their house to be able to build this veterinary practice. And so I was out there with a little push mower mowing for the first year or whatever. Yeah, mowing that push mower. I don't know, what was I, 4th grade, 5th grade. And I also had to mow the house too with that push mower. So it was nice. I mean, I grinded that out for about a year and a half, and then things got a little better. And then they got me a used used John Deere, started cruising around about there. So I used to do a lot of that too. Just for the family business. And I was the guy out there, throwing new mulch down the landscaping, trimming up, doing fall and spring cleanup, trimming up everything.
You probably felt like a boss when you got that new John Deere. Just like,
it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal.
Cool,
throwing some music and rock and roll. And I mean, for me, it was growing up. I was working out for sports, play video games, and doing a lot of that landscaping type. Those were the 3 things that I did.
Is that when you kind of got it in your head too? Like, oh wow, like I can. You take ownership of something. I think that's what it is. Like the first time in your life, you actually take ownership of doing.
I remember something. Like when I was a little kid, and like I would think of an accomplishment. Like if you had to like clean your room, like think about when you're like 5 or 6 years old, like as early as you can remember when your parents are trying to tell you to clean a room.
Yeah.
It's not that I ever really wanted to go do it, but like when I was given that task, I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this so well. It's going to, in my mind, it would like turn into like,
Cleaning
it would
a
be
room?
like a golden touch. Yeah.
Oh,
it would like in my mind, like
Wow.
I would never actually in real life be able to clean my room as well as I imagined it being of me just thinking about doing it. And I think about, I've never actually really shared that thought, and it's really weird. Like I would even see it being like gold. I don't know. Fucking bonkers.
So is it everything?
I've never shared
or is it only like
it was whatever task I was
life?
given. It was whatever task I was given. I remember the clean your room one, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna clean this so good. They're gonna come in and like it's gonna be like.
Was it because you wanted the
fucking
recognition,
palace, like a palace?
Of them being like, you did a good
No,
job,
not
or
really.
you
It was
for
more
you,
internal.
you're like, I'm just gonna.
It was more internal.
I'm gonna clean the shit out of this room.
It was more internal. But I think part of that, and I think like sometimes I think about that a little bit, I always set like goals that I never actually really achieved because it's just on to the next goal. And I don't know if that was like maybe the start of it is like, okay, I'm going to set the bar so high that I really can't even achieve it, but I'm going to shoot for
10x.
I'm going to shoot for it. And maybe am I the only one that had that thought? Like, I'm going to clean my room.
I mean,
so
I never
fucking
visualized my room as gold. I can tell you that.
good. Like just shiny, like, you know, that new gold shot, like a brass shot,
Sure.
like just a shot, like everything there getting a
like Trump
spit
Tower
shine.
condo,
Yes,
right?
Yes. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's just you.
Yeah.
That's just you, man.
Yeah. Those are my
I say
envisions.
it worked out pretty well.
Those are my
Yeah,
envisions.
I mean,
Literally.
But again, I think I relate it to like that was like and that's
Are you
the
perfectionist?
standard that No, I'm not. I'm not a perfectionist
Okay.
though. No, there's a lot of stuff that I'm like, okay, and I just
I'm
move
not
on.
either.
It doesn't bother me or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm like, all right, the next time, let's be better.
Yeah.
I am
You have
all
high
about,
standards, but
yeah.
not a
I'm all
perfectionist.
about. It's where from where I'm at right now, and I want to close the gap from you know, where I'm at to where my potential is, and that's why I coach my daughter's soccer team. I talk about that with the girls all the time. Like, all right, we want to close the gap. Like, yes, winning and losing is important and whatnot. But like ultimately, if we just keep closing the gap from where we're at to where our potential is, we're gonna ultimately win more games in the future.
100%. Yeah, I actually think the same way. I think potential is a big part of my drive. Like, what is my potential? And I don't want to die knowing I could have done more. So that just drives the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was watching Landman last night, and
That's a good
my
show.
wife and I are getting caught up on that. Yeah, we just started watching it recently. I don't watch a ton of TV, but I think we're on episode. Well, actually, we have one episode left, so we were watching it last night though, and in there they were just talking about Monty, the guy that runs the oil or owns the oil business. He was just talking about how his father retired and 4 months later passed away because he died because of lack of purpose.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's times I know in my life when I have to realign or expand my vision because I start to feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that means that I've done a good job up to that point of starting to close that gap from where I'm at to where my potential is. But now what I have to do is almost move my potential bar and be able to increase that through, whether it's a bigger vision or the next goal or whatever to then keep going.
It's in the Bible, bro. Without a vision, the people perish.
Mm-hmm.
God said it. And it's the truth. I always tell my team that.
Yep.
Yeah, and you can never hit a goal without having another bigger goal behind it, in my opinion. Because otherwise you get that anxiety starts seeping in your life.
And it's not even just like money either, right? And you know what I'm talking about because I think you're there. It's like, yes, that's a part of the game and that's a scoreboard, a part of the scoreboard in business. But money's not just going to make you. I'm definitely not happier just because I have more money now than I had 13 years ago.
Yeah.
I get to do cooler stuff, and and I've like been able to get into a house that I didn't think I'd be able to get in until I was like 45 or 55 or whatever, right? And be able to do that by the time I was 30. But like, so it allows you to do cool stuff, but it can never just be attached to money.
Correct.
Either it's not the actual dollar. It's so much more than that.
Yeah. 100%.
It's got to be attached to the plane.
Oh,
yeah. That's
what you can do.
Well,
with
you
the
always
money.
need a bigger plane.
Right. I
You
mean,
can
that's what it
never
comes
get a
down
big
to,
enough
really.
plane.
Right.
Like you can't stop trading up planes. That's a given, and you need money to do
So wait,
that.
after you get 1,000 hours and you get your Pilates, is that how you pronounce it?
That's the one I want. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pilates.
The Pilates.
Yeah.
1,000 hours of Pilates. Is there another plane? Because you just
Sure.
And okay.
Oh, yeah, after that?
Yeah.
Oh,
What's
yeah.
after
It was
that?
so funny because the guy I rent hangar space from, real cool dude. He owns a gun shop. and he's got a couple planes himself, and he's like, this is the coolest fucking plane you got. He's like, you're never gonna outgrow this. And that was the first day I got it, and I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, dude, I already know what plane I want to get next. I'm like, I'm already ready to sell this motherfucker and get the next plane.
Yeah.
But I think that's just kind of how my mind works.
Okay, so what's after the Pilatus? I do not know yet.
After the Pilatus, so Pilatus is the brand. They make a couple different planes, but they have two main ones. They have a PC-12, which is basically like an 8-seater bigger version of what mine is. It's a turboprop.
Jeremy was talking about that.
Mm-hmm. And then they make a PC-24, which is a jet version. And that would be the next one for me. Those are like 9 to 12 million.
So how many hours do you need to fly that, or are you going to have your own pilot at that point?
That one, that's the thing too, is I think once I get to that point and I can afford a plane like that, I probably won't be flying it myself.
Yeah.
So the cool thing about Pilatus, I'm just nerd about aircrafts, but the cool thing about Pilatus is they can take off with basically full weight. Like you can have 8 people in it, full fuel, like your full tanks, tons of baggage, so you can overload the crap out of it with weight. And it can
straps
take off
up to the top like my SUV.
You literally could if it was aerodynamic, and it could still take off of like a 3,500 foot or 4,000 foot runway, right? Whereas jets, you need 45, 5,000, 6,000 foot runways. So and they can land and take off on grass and dirt. So they're the most like capable all around like aircraft you can buy. It's just they're incredible planes. So yeah, you can go up to like a Gulfstream maybe, but the Pilatus PC-24, that's a dream plane.
Yeah,
that's that one.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So, but that's your limit though. You don't want to plan on.
There's another one.
But I mean, you don't plan on being a pilot.
Oh, after that, probably not.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got zero desire to be my own
I would
pilot.
rather
So
fly a smaller plane, what I have, because it's actually fun to fly.
Yeah.
The big ones, you're just like, you're getting up and you're following a flight plan. It's all autopilot.
Yeah. Well, talking about planes and stuff, what are you doing to accomplish these goals? Like, what did you do? How'd you get to a position? How old are you again right now?
29.
How, we have a lot of listeners that are, probably around that age, less than that age. I mean, what did you do and how'd you position yourself to be able to, by the age of 29, be able to buy your first plane and be thinking the way you're doing and taking these actual action behind it and getting it going?
So I guess like 60-second backstory. In college, I actually my first year was pre-dental. I was like, I wanted to go into dentistry. My dad's a dentist, so I'm like, I'm going to do that. But very quickly decided I wanted to go into business instead, kind of relive the entrepreneurship I had in high school. So I fell into a couple. Well, I worked my way into a couple investment banking internships. And then from that, met some of the partners who were pretty well off, and they all owned real estate, and some of them owned apartments. And then I listened to Bigger Pockets, read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and then I was hooked. I'm like, I'm buying real estate for the rest of my life. I'm never going to stop. This is what I'm doing. So my junior year, I was 20, turning 21. And because of doing some of the investment banking, I got really good at numbers and spreadsheets. So I started calling brokers and making offers on deals, and I got an offer accepted on a 12-unit apartment complex, and I had literally no money. I had no investors lined up. I didn't even know what like a Freddie Mac loan was or any of that at this point. I mean, this is like very early on.
I know what a Freddie Mac loan is. It's tear your head out, slam your head against concrete.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And so I just made an offer and pretended like I had the money to buy it. He's like, where are you getting your funds? I'm like, oh, I've got it all the cash, like in the bank. I'm just like, you don't have to worry about that. I had no money at all. Had no clue what I was doing. I didn't know I was going to manage it or anything. So I basically got the offer accepted. And then in like 5 days, I found a guy to put up the $25K earnest money. And then I started hunting banks. He signed on the note with me as well. And then I hunted like 6 investors down that put up 30, 40K each for the down payment. I bought is a 550K 12 unit.
So so some people might be listening and they're like, well, that's great. You closed that deal. You raised all this money. But if you didn't have any money, how did you get money from that first deal then? How'd you make any money if you weren't putting any money in?
So the first deal, it was kind of bittersweet because I charged like an acquisition fee, which I don't know, it was like 16 grand or something like that.
At the time, you're like, oh,
that's the biggest amount of money I'd ever seen. It was crazy. But I actually underraised and I didn't raise enough to do all my renovations. So I actually put that money right back into the deal.
There's so many similarities to like who we have on here, and like this is my story, and every successful person, number one, being delusional and not you don't have any of that stuff in the bank account. Like, I got
figured out later.
I was listening to the Founders podcast, and I love that podcast, by the way. I think we've talked about it a few times here, but there's one on Jay-Z, and Jay-Z talks about it's a hard knock life for that song and that beat. Well, they had to get the okay and get the license to use that song
from the movie,
right? Yeah, from Orphan Annie or whatever. Yeah.
Play.
Well, he, growing up in the projects and stuff, he went to those people, and it was initially a no. Then he went to them, and kind of like what you said. It was. I mean, you were good for the money. You closed the deal, right? So it's almost more of like a white lie. Well, Jay-Z also told a white lie of like, we used to go into the city, and we'd get bused into the city and go to that play. And ever since then, I've been inspired by this. This is my story. Let me use this. And off of that letter he wrote, like telling that story, even though it didn't happen. They never coming from the project, the Marcy project. Yeah, he never saw that play. Was never he heard about it and whatnot, but.
That's actually wild.
Delusional.
I never heard that story.
Delusional, delusional and mad belief in yourself. But the thing is, it's one thing to say a white lie or be delusional, but it's another thing to be able to take the action steps and go do it then.
Yeah. So is that something that you've always had forever? Or is that something that like your parents helped instill in you? Or like, again, I mean, it's not many people that are going to make a phone call having no money and then put an offer in on a $500,000 property.
I mean, psychotic.
That's right. But I mean, like,
it's one of the things that if you don't actually do it, you are a liar.
Yeah, you're totally a liar.
Right?
Yeah.
The fact that I can't just sit here and say you're a liar, David, is because you actually executed on it.
Yeah.
So no one's gonna be call you out and call you a liar.
Yeah. Well, it's like when a broker asks you on a $30 million deal for a proof of funds. I normally tell the broker, I say, you're being silly. Like, why are you asking me if I have $30 million in cash to show you? Because I don't have $30 million to show you.
Yeah.
I can show you a couple $1 million.
Yeah.
And I can maybe get a letter from a bank, but like, it's a silly question. Like, I'm going to look at my track record, I'll figure it out. And in this scenario, I'm not able to do that. So for me, it was like whatever it takes. Whatever it takes to get it done.
Yeah, that question before you have the track record, it was always asked to me too. Of like, what's your proof of funds? What's your story to be able to do it? I've not heard that question, and I don't know how long.
In a long time.
I get
a lot of people send me deals, and they're like, they're asking me for a proof of funds. I'm like, it's because you didn't show them that you have the ability to buy this without giving a proof of funds. I'm like, you need to convince people that you are so. You need to show people that you have enough confidence to be able to close this thing. And if you do that, they're not going to ask you for proof of funds.
For me, I just said, I got 3 really wealthy guys that are backing me, and and people were good with that early on.
Just
That's
come
what
up with a spiel.
And again, I didn't back then. I didn't.
Right.
So I was in the same thing. I can't tell you how many white lies like that, or again, I don't know if they're white lies. It's like, again, if I don't perform, it's you're a liar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. And you lied, but like I was still able to perform, and that's happened a lot.
It's like you're a liar in escrow until it closes, and then the liar goes away.
Yes. There you go.
So
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. No. But so I bought the deal. That deal went well. Bought another. Actually, it's funny. It's hard to tell the story because timeline wise, I actually put that deal under contract, and 2 weeks later, while I was under contract for that, I put another 12 unit under contract. Also didn't have the money. Also didn't have.
But by that time, did you at least start to get the money for the other deal, or not yet?
No, not yet.
No, so you're just going to package.
No. Yeah. So I bought them separately. Yeah, but I had the guy for the earnest money at that point. And I was like, dude, I got
like David at a buffet line. Just, I'll have the mac and cheese, and now I'm full, but I'll take the mashed potatoes too, because I might be able to eat it later.
Dude, it was crazy. And I got the same guy to sign on both. It was on the same street. And I'm like, we need to buy both of these.
Oh, there you go.
And I'm like, this one's actually cleaner for the same price. And he's like, well, we back out of this one and do that. I'm like, no, let's just buy them both. So I ended up closing on both of them. And I self-managed them. I was in painting units myself, doing all the stuff. And they did well. And then, I don't want to say a couple months after that.
So, okay, you had the acquisition fee. Just hold that thought where you're at. Yep. I just want to ask you this. So, like, you got the acquisition fee because there still might be people like, okay, so you made $16,000. Now you can go buy a plane or whatever. But how else did you get paid on those first 2 buildings you bought?
So, I got sweat equity in them. So, I did like 70-30 split.
All right.
So, I gave the investors 70. I took the other 30.
And you took 30 right off the top right of the gate? Or did you have to
just
perform?
Equity, overall equity. I think I did 8 pref.
Okay.
And then I had
pref
70-30.
And then,
yeah.
okay.
And I gave some of that 30 to the other guy
Okay.
that signed on it. So yeah, but I mean, you don't get paid on that really till you sell.
Right.
And there was no cash flow for me. When you do a pref, I mean, when you do a pref, you're not making money till you sell the property.
Yeah, well, the good thing, the way we structured deals for early on was like we were always in the money.
Like you didn't do.
We
pref.
did 6 prefs.
Okay, that's good.
But then like we were in the money like 8-9% out of the gate usually,
good.
which
So you
was
were
pretty
making some,
sweet.
yeah,
Which is
okay.
pretty sweet for me early on.
And do you do asset management fees?
Yeah.
And all that stuff
We
too?
didn't early on though, because that was just another hurdle
You
where
did.
I didn't want to have to like
Yeah.
risk, because like I already didn't know.
Sure.
So I was in the, I committed to these deals. I'm like, shit, I just got to find a way to raise the money. I don't care what I'm getting paid. Like I need to get something,
Sure.
but I don't need to be crazy. So like I think initially there was no asset management fee. Then it went like to a quarter point. Then it went to a full point.
Okay.
But after the full point came once we had
Sure.
some deals go full cycle, and we had a list of people wanting to be with us, and like we were starting to oversubscribe on our investments and whatnot.
And you do acquisition fee, disposition,
Yes,
all
1%,
that
1%.
1%. Okay. Now I do, I'll either do an 8 pref 50-50 with I haven't done any asset management fees probably in 5 or 6 years, but I charge a 3% or a 4% acquisition fee up front.
Okay, so you're just getting
But no
upfront.
disposition fee.
Yeah.
So, and then
Get
a
your
lot of
cash
times,
now.
yeah. So I'll do either 8 pref 50-50 or I'll do a straight 70-30 split with
Okay.
no pref. Those are
Yeah.
like the two structures I kind of do.
All right, so you've got a barrage of people listening, no idea what you're talking about.
That's a good
When
point.
you say 8 pref,
So basically, a preferred return is saying that
It's so nice, like not to be the person
I'll do it for you.
explaining
I
it.
got you.
I'm
I got
glad
you.
David's a guest today.
Yeah, I got you. So let's say you raise $100,000 on a deal, and you give your investors, which consists of that $100,000, an 8% preferred return, and a 50-50 split over that, as we were just talking about. That means the first $8,000 that the property makes every year goes to the investor
Every year, not just once. Every year.
every year, and it
The
accrues.
8% pref is annualized.
Exactly, and it continually is accruing every year, and then anything over that splits 50-50, right? So it's kind of the same thing.
So any cash left and above and beyond that, and that's why David at the beginning said, "Well, that's I don't really get anything until it sells," which is where a lot of these deals that I'm in, and have been in, like there's a big chunk coming on the back end because we're
Right.
performing like
Correct.
crazy.
Yes.
And so there's a big chunk coming, and there's still like again, once you're in the money, once you're quote unquote in the money, it means you've got enough cash flow to pay the pref, but then you're already in that split just with the cash flow, which those deals are always nice.
Yeah.
Now, the last handful of years, we were kind of talking about this over lunch of how many, syndicators are out there that didn't really know how to operate these deals, didn't really
Yeah.
know, they were just raising money and seeing the fees.
Correct.
Got the fees. They're so far out of the money. Now they're having to do capital calls. They didn't put the right deck structure in place, and now they're in trouble.
Sure.
And there's a lot of syndicate, like the game, I think a lot of those people are going to be done for a long, long time
Yeah.
because like they just lost their entire investor
Totally.
base. There's a lot of people that aren't going to be, I think there's a lot of people asking a lot more questions. Now, I mean, even in
God.
our deals, there's a lot of people,
Yeah.
we've been really unaffected by it. There's been a lot of people asking a lot more questions. So,
No, I think the last 2 years took tens of thousands of like passive investors out of the market.
yeah.
A lot
Yeah.
of them. Yeah. And that 8% accrues too. So like if you don't pay it for 3
Yes.
years, now you have, that 8,000, 16,000, 24,000
And you just get more
that
and more
has
out
to
of the
get
money.
caught up when you sell it. So yeah, you keep getting more and more out of the money.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. So, so I just kept buying
How
deals
long did you
after
hold on
that.
to those first 2 deals then?
12 months, 14 months.
And then you sold
flipped
them.
them. Yeah, just flipped them. And I bought a 96 unit, which is like the deal that put me on the map. Sent a letter to a billionaire down in Florida. And he, for whatever reason, called me and we built a good relationship. And he sold me a 96 unit in my hometown for like 43 a door.
It's a good get
It
in
was
price.
a great price. And I sold it for 70 a door like 18 months later. So I think I bought it for 4.2. I was all in at 4.9 or 5, and I sold it for $7 million.
Yeah.
Another deal, I didn't put any money in. I still had no money at that point. I did the other 12 units, but I didn't really have any money from that. I moved into the 96 unit. I self-managed it, hired a on-site manager, hired a maintenance person, oversaw all the renovations, like stuff I'd never done in my life
Yeah.
before. And I had to raise $1.7 million for that. And that was, to date, through the past 10 years, that was the single hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life.
Yeah.
Was raise that money.
How much did you have to raise?
1.7.
Yeah.
After I just raised 150 and 150.
Yeah.
And I still, that was like tapping myself out to raise
Yeah.
that 300 grand.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this is such a good deal. I have to find $1.7 million. I think I had 1.2 by the time I closed, and I continued raising the next 6 months after I closed.
For the CapEx and
for the rest of the CapEx, yeah. But the dude just threw me. I sat down with him for lunch after I closed. I'm like, why did you sell me that deal? Like, you could have gotten $5 million for it. You sold to me for 4.2. He's like, yeah, I just liked you, and I didn't really need the extra money. I'm like, you're such a gangster. So, like, I want to be able to do that one day for somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude owned 5,000 apartments, free and clear, no partners, tons of senior living, like, just a good dude.
Yeah.
Good mentor.
What'd you learn operating those sites the day to day that maybe helped you later on in your investing career that maybe someone would overlook or take for granted?
Well, I think the biggest thing was I really had never worked with contractors much before that. So, like, figuring out who's trustworthy, who's not.
Yeah.
It's very hard to find good contractors for anything. How to manage a construction budget. Like, it's very easy to get upside down in a construction budget.
Sure.
You start spending money. You know, you go from wanting to spend 8,000 a unit to 12 now, and now that over 40 units cuts out your ability to do the siding on all the buildings now, or whatever it happens to be. So that's big. And then I had on-site. It's 96 units, so we had a little leasing office. I had an on-site manager and maintenance. But I went through 3 managers, and in between, I probably cumulatively spent 6 to 8 months myself as the on-site manager.
Yeah.
Like leasing units, collecting rent, dealing with tenants, in Appfolio, doing all the things. Like, so I learned how to be a property manager and how to lease units, which was huge.
What did that help you with later? How was it huge?
Well,
Do you think? I guess my question is, do you think
Yeah.
you made a lot more money because of that, or not?
Oh yeah, like hands-on, knowing how to, because I know now the expectation that can be set for a third-party management company, because
Right.
I know what I was able to do myself. So I can give expectations for a turnaround and lease up, or finishing a construction project or CapEx project, or what a maintenance person can handle within a given week. So yeah, absolutely. Like, a lot of people get into this and you hire third parties and you don't really get too hands-on, but I've literally done every position now besides maintenance. So, it was huge knowing hands-on how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said, excuse me, in your first 12, 18 months, you bought the 12 units and went to flip them. Still really had no money.
Mm-hmm.
Had to go into the 96. What did you do for cash? Like, how did you live? I mean, because you didn't structure the deal in a way that you were cash flowing, so you didn't have any kind of like actual income.
Still trying to raise money
during
after
that time
after
while
the
you're
deal
raising
closes.
money.
Yeah.
Like, how do you eat?
Yeah, so I had the 12 units. I bought that 96 probably after I'd owned the 24 units for like 6 to 8 months. Then I bought the next one.
Sure.
And on that one, I got like $100,000 acquisition fee.
Okay.
So that helped me
Okay.
kind of start living. And then I had the property management fees coming in every month at that point. But I was living at my college for 2 years, and when I started buying real estate, I moved back home with my parents. So I literally had no expenses besides
awesome.
my car and food and gas.
After college,
Insurance.
I moved back to my parents. I lived there for 3.5 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Now, some people are like, oh, you guys are spoiled rotten. Da, da, da. I'm like, dude, well then, okay, go find a buddy or 2 or 3 or 4 where you can room up.
100%.
Basically
Sleep on a
takes you to
couch.
the same thing.
Yeah. I just didn't really
Find
have
a
any
way.
other benefit.
Find a
I
way.
just slept in my childhood bedroom.
Find a way to minimize how much instead of buying a new pair of shoes. Look at these freaking shoes I'm wearing right now.
There you go.
I know. My wife flips out
this
every
is what
time
I'm-
she does your
Yeah.
pictures.
Now, that's right. Yeah.
Hell
I told my
yeah.
wife the other night because she was shooting the other night for us, and I told my wife I'm wearing my Bill Bowerman Nike white and white. My wife's like, absolutely not, because I've done it before. I've slipped in at these
White
shoes
or
before.
gray? No,
These
I'm
ones
kidding.
right here. Yeah. White or dirt. White or dirty. Right, but I mean that's an example of like you don't need to live beyond your means. As I started making more money, I remember when I was making between my first year out of college, maybe I made $15,000, maybe $11,000 to $15,000. as that went up over the next couple of years up to towards like $100,000, like I didn't go spend any more money. People are like, when are you going to buy your first house? I'm like, fuck a house. I want to buy a 4-unit and another 4-unit, exactly. And an 8-unit and the storage units. I mean, I had 300 or 400 apartments and worth a few $1,000,000, and I was still living in a $900 a month studio apartment in Janesville, Wisconsin.
There you go.
So the biggest thing is, how can you keep especially for those of you that are listening that don't have a family yet, like how can you keep your expenses as low as possible? And then even if you do have a family, like how can you keep them as low as possible and get grinding so that you get money working for you, and you can be in a completely different place 3 years from now, 4 years from now, 5 years from now.
Dude, if I hear you talking about how you want to get rich and financially free and you want to buy apartments and all that stuff, but then I see you on Instagram going out and partying every weekend and renting cars and boats and going on yachts and all this stuff, like you're never going to make it.
You need to be able to choose.
Yeah. So I did the same thing. Yeah, I didn't buy anything fancy. My dream was always to
You're doing the same thing right now.
Yeah, I'm still...
You just sold the house. You sold the house that you're living in because you bought it during COVID. You're like, oh, this will be a good deal. Flips it. And then he just moves it. He buys another property and there's
now
900 square foot.
Again.
Yeah, 900 square foot apartment.
So silly. But it's like, well, I don't really need much more, So, yeah, and at the time, I moved into that 96 unit building. I know it was like really, it was kind of ghetto, like C-class building. I lived in it, and I would have tenants knocking on my door at all hours of the day, and I'm like, God damn it. I'm like, I'm just a property manager. I'm not the owner, but somehow they all figure it out and they talk. Even if I try not to tell anybody, but they know. But yeah, you got to live below your means. My goal in high school, I was like, I want a Lamborghini. That was always my dream to have a Lamborghini. And I remember selling that building, and I made my first big check. So this was probably 16, 18 months into buying apartments, maybe 20 months in, and I made like $400,000 was the check I got when we sold that property. And I remember thinking, like, it took every ounce of willpower in my fucking body to not go directly to the dealership and buy a Lamborghini cash. And that would have been like the coolest flex ever. I was 22 years old. I would have just been on top of the world. I would have hit my dream. I would have been the coolest kid of all my friends, but I didn't. I was like, I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna put it in my next deal, and I did. I put it all into the next deal. I was like, I need to stay broke because otherwise I'm gonna buy that stupid land. And to this day, I still obviously want to buy a Lambo, but I just keep putting it off because it's a funny thing now. I'm like, I could have bought a Lambo when I was 22, 24, 20, but I keep putting it off because it's one of those things that to me it's kind of funny now. It's like,
we'll just buy a plane.
I don't
instead.
need it.
We don't need a Lambo.
Yeah, you don't need it. And then one day I'll get it when it's like something you don't even have to think about, right?
Yep.
So, yeah.
When it's like going to buy a box of cereal.
Yeah, exactly. Because at the end of the day, I've had cool cars, nice things, this and that, big house, and none of it really, coming back to what you said, it's not just about money. Like, I genuinely love building businesses and building the team out and hiring good people and making an impact. And so I just have fun doing what I do. So it's not just really about money at the end of the day.
That's similar to me too. Is like I have the most fun every single day when I'm like neck deep in it.
Yeah, doing deals.
Like neck deep in it, doing deals. But even like we've kind of changed the property. Like we've kind of blew up the property management company a little bit again. Like when I say blow up, like kind of deconstructed it a little bit. It's like I'm back into doing some of that stuff. And like I've never. But like I've told you at lunch how much speed we're picking up and like what's going on because of some of those things. And like I'm like having more fun now over the last 3 months when I don't have a CEO anymore of the company. I don't have a VP of operations anymore. I don't have a director of this and that anymore. We've let some of those people go. We had a couple other people leave. I've not had this much fun.
Heck yeah.
In a handful of years because like all the way back in it. And when I realized there was a huge opportunity and what's made it so fun is like when some of those people were left, I'm like looking around, I'm like shit, like because we needed those people so that we could acquire, so I could go acquire, right? But I'm like, man, they weren't doing the job they should have been doing, and I'm like, there's $40 million of value here that's like untapped, that just like low hanging fruit. So I was amped to go get that. And we've already almost unlocked all that.
Wow.
And 90 days later, and it's like I've had a ton of fun doing that. But then also like it's not just about. And again, here's where
it's
not
that 1.5 million vacancy you're talking about.
Well, there's more. There's more beyond that. Yeah. I mean, and so, it's not even just about the money, but it's just about, again, that I viewed that $40 million as like potential. Like how quickly can we go get it, that value? But then I also think about, like, wow, what this is going to mean going forward. If now we can have processes and systems again and kind of reconstruct the company how we want it to be done. And I shared some of those things with you over lunch about the 110% occupancy and all that stuff. What that's going to mean from a cash flow standpoint going forward with every single deal we buy, but also the value standpoint and on refis or sales. And that just excites me, again, because of how much we just took, like, from where we were at to where our potential is, and how much we pushed that, like, close that gap in the last 90 days, because now we're getting back to the point of, like, okay, how far out can we put our potential again? And that's where it's like, man, this thing's about to be like a crazy rocket ship in my mind.
Hell yeah. Yeah, you got a machine over here, man.
But it's been like but again, it's like, you gotta love waking up every morning and doing the grind, and like love it so much that you don't really even recognize it as a grind.
Yeah, and it never gets sexy. Like, so you think like, oh, and years from now it's gonna be, you know, so much easier to do the same thing, or I'm not gonna have to deal with this and that and these little things. It's like, no matter how far you get, you're still always having to deal with little problems and big problems, and you're gonna have to get your hands dirty as a CEO, and it never gets sexy or glamorous. So if you don't love it in the beginning when it's extremely hard, you're really not gonna love it down the line, because it doesn't. At least in my mind, it doesn't really get any easier, to be honest. Like, once you have money and you're stable financially, like, there's still different, just more money, more problems. Like, it's a common saying, but it's actually true, right? Like, the problems are just at a different scale now. So,
and the moment that you stop solving for problems is eventually the start of your demise too.
Yeah, and the start of your team's demise. Like, if were we just talking about this a little while ago? I said, without a vision, the people perish. Yeah. Like, that is so true for your team too. If they don't see somebody actively leading the company to something bigger and better, that's when you start getting people wanting to leave and go somewhere else, somewhere more exciting, or people start, you know, their motivation goes away. Like, you need to really drive. I think of myself as like a cattle driver, right? Like, I'm driving all the time, like, trying to motivate my team, push them, set the next goal, the next limit. And if you're not doing that, you kind of get stagnant, and that's when things start going wrong. So
100%.
Yeah.
So why'd you start? You're doing all this good stuff in real estate. Why'd you start a tech company?
So the tech for me was, at first, it's like a side project. I built a spreadsheet to underwrite multifamily deals, and I had people starting to ask for it. So I put it up on my website for like $250, and I sold, I think, $100,000 worth of the spreadsheet.
That's a lot of transactions at $250.
Dude, in like 6 or 7 months.
Was that 400 transactions or no? 4,000 transactions?
It was hundreds. Yeah, it was hundreds. Yeah, hundreds, okay. I think, I don't know, math sometimes. 250
times 4 gets you to 1,000.
Yeah, so
coming from two real estate guys.
Yeah, there you go. This is a great example of it. This is a great example. It's basic math, guys.
It's basic math, guys.
And execution.
So this was when, like, the whole guru scene was popping, and like all the podcasts were coming out, and I was on, like, I think that in the 2-year span I was on over like 150 podcasts talking about. So I had the spreadsheet out. It was selling like crazy, and I was like, man, I could do so much more with a software than just a spreadsheet to underwrite deals. So I started building Real Estate Lab. We started using it, and then I started selling it as a subscription. So we've got a couple hundred clients, anywhere from like beginners to people that own 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 units that use it to underwrite their deals. And you can use our model within the software, or you can plug your own model into it. And then we have a parsing engine. You can upload rent roll in T12. It'll pull the financials out of that, put it into your model for you. We pull rent comps, like a bunch of different stuff right within it. So it's kind of like a hub for acquisitions. And
so is that something you're actively trying to grow, or is that something you're just letting? Yeah.
I've got a small team. We really don't need much. I mean, I'm constantly, I've got a pipeline of improvements to the software. I've got some developers, third-party developers always working on that, and I've got a little sales team.
Yeah.
But it's multifamily slowed down a lot in the last couple of years, so a lot of people are pencils down. So it's not something
Good.
I'm
Keep
trying
your pencils
to like,
down.
Yeah, I know. Mine's still up. It's not something I'm like taking to the moon right now, but it's something that selectively we work with like clients that are actively buying.
Got it.
So we're not really working as much with people who are just like wishy-washy.
Yeah.
So if you're actively buying, we'll let people sign a contract on it. But yeah, I'm working on that, and then obviously the paving company has been a big focus as well, asphalt, and such.
And you think that the asphalt is maybe the gateway to be able to just start where you have less investors potentially.
Correct.
And then you're owning more of the equity in each deal that you're doing, and
correct. Yeah, in income, man. I've just seen throughout the years, like a lot of my investors that have the most money all have operating businesses. Mm-hmm. So they have tons of investments, but they made their money from some sort of operating business, whether I have a guy that makes literally like cables, like line, like, and then I have guys that do like underground utility construction or site work, whatever it may be, big HVAC companies. And these guys make way more money than the people I know that like had just done real estate. And so I'm like picking these people's brains. I'm like, so this unlocked the ability for you to go out and just throw millions of dollars into investment properties. And so I had been thinking about it for a couple of years on doing some kind of operating business. I just didn't know what it was going to be because I hadn't found anything I'm passionate about. And for me, I'm not going to do something unless I love it, because it's too hard to start any business you don't love, right? So for me, this started because of the right business partner, and it was a guy I met through a company I'd hired to do a couple parking lots for me. I met a guy who was just awesome salesperson, really ambitious. Like his goals match my goals, which is hard. As you know, it's hard to find people that have like goals up here. Super smart.
Well, I know a lot of people have goals up there, but then they also have the work ethic.
Yeah, both. Yeah, and he's got both.
Yeah.
Dude's a killer.
I think it's usually the work ethic part.
Yeah, I know, right?
Along with that
correct.
goal.
You
I think
have
it's
to have both.
Yeah.
So we ended up doing that, and it's been going really well. We're up within now. It's been 8 months. We just crossed $2 million in revenue, and we have 12 employees already, like full time on salary, and we're just growing and growing and growing. It's like chicken or the egg right now. It's getting so busy to the point where it's like, how do we keep up with the jobs? How do we keep selling new jobs? Do we go and continue to hire more crew? Do we use day labor? Like we're at that point, really weird spot probably for the next year or two for us as we're growing rapidly. But
how do you think you navigate through something like that?
I don't know. It's tough too, because when the winters come, everything slows down. So a lot of the big construction companies like hire a lot and get so busy, and in the winter they end up firing a lot of people. And I don't want to be that guy that's like hiring and firing people. So I'm also trying to take the people I have and work them until they can't work anymore, and then work them a little bit more, right? And I'm working alongside them, same. And then we hire somebody that needs to fill a gap, right? It's like, so as a cattle driver, like driving people, man. And I think that's the only way to do it, because right now I probably need 5 more people on my crew, but I'm going to hire maybe like 1 more really good person. Yeah. And then filling it. So that's kind of like one of the challenges, but
and then your thought is, okay, then when it slows down, being in Texas, right? Yeah. Being in Texas, you guys doesn't completely stop.
It doesn't.
Like it does in Wisconsin, it completely stops here.
It completely stops here, in the Midwest. So, for us, we get January, February. You can't really pave. Sometimes December too. But you can still lay concrete as long as it's above freezing. So we can do concrete. And then seal coat, you lose a couple more months. You got like 4 months you can't seal coat and crack fill. So, but it definitely slows down, because when you can't pave, that cuts out, most of our business. We're doing a lot of concrete too, but paving is the majority of our business. So, but you can pave most of the year.
Well, what do you think what do you want that company to turn into, and how do you think you're going to get there?
I want to be the biggest paving company in Texas. That's what me and Matt talked about.
Texas is a big state, Joel.
Huge state.
A lot of cattle.
A lot of cattle.
Yep.
I think we have more cattle than Florida, actually.
Willing to bet.
So there's a guy, so the paving company is like dental right now, right? It's private equity is gobbling up paving companies left and right. it is wild. And there's the biggest one I think is called CRH. They do like $33 billion a year. They do all like roads, most of the roads and highways in the U.S. They're national, yeah. Actually, they're international, and they do mostly government work, but they're gobbling up a lot of smaller companies. So, anyways, there's a guy in Austin. He's kind of like the godfather of paving in Austin, and he, from what I understand, over the last 30 to 40 years, he started from just seal coating parking lots to building. The company was called Lone Star Paving. And they had like 11 or 12 asphalt plants, and they were doing like $400 million a year in revenue, $500 million a year in revenue, just in mainly Central Texas. Yeah. It's like Austin, San Antonio, and he just sold for $900 million.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And he's probably one of the biggest in Texas, but again, they weren't really, to my knowledge, up in like Dallas and Houston as much. So I think in the next 20, 30 years, like we could do something like that. I think it's doable.
Yeah.
So that's where I want to take it.
So if you're in the Austin area, do you run into Cody Sanchez at all, or?
I don't. I'm pretty sure she lives there.
She does, yeah.
My friend sold her house, actually.
Really?
Yeah. But no, I've never run into her. She seems cool though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Justin and her are best friends.
Oh, cool.
No, we're not.
Oh, you don't like her?
No. Well, I don't really follow her stuff. I just saw the one post where she's like, and this is what she's supposed to do. This is how you get clicks.
100%.
Yeah.
This is what I do. I do to the same thing. What'd she say, Joel? I don't remember.
She said something about how real estate's like not a real
real
job.
Real estate's not for real estate's
building
for
wealth, not for building wealth.
Not for
it's
building
for
wealth,
investing.
investing wealth. And actually, this is kind of what I was gonna. So like she just said, there's not, but really, like some of the things we were talking about at lunch, I'm like that's the reason, because a lot of people aren't looking at this game the way that I'm looking at it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And no, there is an operational side to this business that, in my mind, is fucking crazy. It's just people overlook it.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't want to run it like an Amazon.
Correct.
They don't want to run it like your paving company.
That's
they
why
don't
you're
want
going to take it to 10, 20,000 units or whatever.
Like that. Like,
yeah.
and so yeah, I saw that post. I'm like, I just came out. It was on a podcast, and I vented one day. I'm like, Jesus Christ, like.
Yeah. How do you think Graystar got to be Graystar?
Yeah. Right.
Because they treat it like an Amazon.
Right.
They have 1 million units under management. I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah.
They're the biggest owner as well.
So, anyways, the way that we're operating, where we're going, I'm like, I'm just gonna prove Cody wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we'll get her on the podcast.
I'll be like, remember this post?
Yeah. No, I think she's wrong too in that for sure. But again, it's probably clicks.
Yeah.
But she seems really smart. She does more businesses though, right?
Yes.
Well, see, that's the thing. Is like, I mean, I agree. Like, you know. I've not been the best at making money. I've been able to keep it because I haven't spent what I have made.
Yeah, smart.
But I've been really good at multiplying money.
That's good.
So to an extent, I do agree with, like, there's a lot of people that have, businesses, again, operational businesses. But again, my outlook for the last 24, 36 months with real estate, I'm like, this can be very, 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 very operational. We can do things that most people are not doing, and looking at anomalies in part of your business that again, some people are going to write off as an anomaly. And it's like, well, no, really, you talk to those people there, they're like, no, you can do this anywhere in your portfolio. I'm working on one of those things right now with one of our gals who leases. She does 600 units for us, and she did the last 6 weeks. She's done like 70 tours, but she got 99 applications, right?
Wow,
so like,
that's amazing.
She's getting apps without having to go there physically, right? And I'm like, is this an anomaly just because that market right there is so hot and there's more demand than supply and whatnot? She's like, no, we can do this anywhere, and I have done it in other places. I'm like, let's do it.
Yep.
Right. So again, how can I take I'm looking at like other industries, and how can I take certain things from other industries that are unique to maybe like a restaurant business or a plane business, and how can I use it? Like, again, if you go order your ticket, a lot of flights are overbooked. Well, when you're buying that ticket, they're not telling you you're on a wait list or you're overbooked. You're the overbooked ticket. If they told you that, you probably wouldn't buy the ticket because you're like, oh shit. They figure that problem out later. They're going to pay someone $500 or $1,000 or $2,000 to leave a day later or whatever, right? And so it's like, how can I use some of these things in multifamily in our operation that then, like, some of our biggest line items, we have like just dollar wise, right, is bad debt. I mean, like industry standard is, I hate the word industry standard, but I mean, you're between 2% and 3%.
Yeah.
Like, well, I mean, we're already crushing that. And I'm like, how can we cut it in half from where we're at right now? And we've got things that we're implemented on, and we're going to pay people pretty well over the next 12 months to hopefully take that to a half percentage point. I mean, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Just on our portfolio now.
That's a cool thing now is you have the scale to actually track the data. To do this.
Yeah. And the vacancy, like, okay, most people are happy at 92, 95%. Well, I want our low point to be 100%. I want to be 110% occupied, which I was telling you about it at lunch, right? And again, like, okay, can we completely wipe away our vacancy?
Right.
That's another $1.5 million right now.
You're an operator.
That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. And it's like, how can we do some of these things that other people just aren't doing that truly, help take, again, it's a value standpoint, because every dollar that goes to the bottom line is worth, at least our portfolio here is worth $16 to $20 of value. Yeah. Right. But then on top of the extra cash flow we get, and again, how can we leverage that? How can we use that? How can we, accelerate our own growth? Again, how can we go through a 300 unit portfolio and reposition that thing in 6 months versus 3 years? Yeah. Right. I mean, I'm telling you a couple like starting December 23rd out here, and I got 1.7 million into that. How can I get all that back out in 8 to 12 months max? Right. And then how can I do that on every single project? So now I'm doing something where I'm able to turn my, if someone else is hoping to refinance their dollars out in 3 years, but I can do it every 8 months and get my initial investment back, right?
You're winning
way ahead just because of that turn, and so those are the things that I'm looking at to, prove Cody Sanchez's post wrong. Anyway.
Yeah, no, it is. It's an operating business, man. If you don't treat it like one, then you're just an investor, and if you're just an investor and you're in charge of a deal, you're likely to fail.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Because someone has to be hands-on. And, if you aren't directly hands-on, then, like you said, you have to know how to handle the third-party property manager.
Oh, yeah. And you have to babysit the crap out of them.
Yeah.
A lot of people syndicate a deal and just think that once you raise the money and you tell them, hey, this is my business plan, that it's just going to happen, that your rents are going to get hit.
Well, because on a spreadsheet, that works when you just type in a 10% year-over-year growth in your rents and, all that stuff, right? And you keep you buy something at a 5.5% cap rate and put an exit cap rate of 4.5%. Right? It's
it looks great.
It looks great. It looks really easy.
Good. Yeah, I think that there's an enormous amount of people that will buy apartments, hire a third-party manager, and not even convey their business plan to them, and think that if something's going to get done. It's like, even when you tell them what you want them to do, they still won't do it as a third-party manager. I've been through 6 or 7 third-party management companies. I have never...
Even when you own the company, you tell your team what you want to do. You got to...
Even when it's your company, you still have to be on them. Every lease, I always say, every lease matters. No matter how many you've got, every single lease, you need to be looking at what should this be running for, right?
Every pre-lease matters, baby.
Every pre-lease.
Go
That's
get
even
a
better way to look at
it.
Yeah, every pre-lease matters. And so, you can't expect it to just steer the way you want it to go just because you got to be very hands-on.
I tell you at lunch that this deal that we're buying, we close in 2 or 3 weeks. We started working on the rehabs today or yesterday or whatever. And we've got leases signed already for late June and July move-ins. We don't even own the freaking deal yet.
That's insane.
Right? But then again, that's a part of the puzzle.
So it's in your contract, you're like, hey, we have the right.
No, not this one.
No,
not this one. But I just kind of talked to them and they're like, yeah, we're good with it. Yeah. So
that's cool.
Yeah, we'll have it. We've had it in other contracts. This one, I don't know how it didn't get in this one. But yeah, we've had it. This is the third one that we've started. Now, this is the first time though that we've got leases signed before. We've started work. So now we've got leases signed.
Did you get your team dialed in?
So we're getting there. So I'm incentivizing her to do it. Yeah. I'm like, Autumn, what do you want to get paid? Well, I'll do $1,000 per pre-lease. Sure.
Yeah.
I just said sure.
So worth it.
I'm just like, sure.
That's so worth it.
So she had last Monday, she had 7 showings. The apps came in.
Wow.
She had more showings today for stuff that's already out to mid-July, late July, and early August.
Where do you get most of your leads, your top 2 lead sources?
Facebook Marketplace is where we got this one. Okay. So we don't even have any paid for this right now. Okay. It's all Facebook Marketplace on her personal Facebook.
Nice.
And then, apartments.com, but again, that cost per lead is more.
Way more.
But apartments.com, Zillow, places like that. People get bounced to our website too, but I actually think that comes from more of paid sources where people will see us on apartments.com and then they'll
hit the link to the management company. Yeah.
That's where I think, and that's what they'll tell me too. And it's not that I just believe them, but I'm like, where else are they finding our website?
What's your management company called?
Spalding Group.
Oh,
Which
it's the
in
same
this
thing.
area, I mean,
Yeah.
in this area,
You're
we're
concentrated, so
known.
people know
We're
you.
known,
Yeah.
yeah. But
That's cool. So I'll tell you, the one thing that's held me back from scaling, very, very big with apartments, I think I bought like 1,400 apartments the last 8 years, was not having the right operational partner.
yeah, for sure.
I can do operations
Yeah.
and I can be an operational guy. It's
Yeah.
not what I enjoy doing, and it's
Yeah.
not my best skill set.
Yeah.
I'm a deal guy.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
I'll find a deal, I'll find a good deal,
Yeah.
and I'll get it closed.
Yeah.
And I'll make sure there's a good handoff to the management team. And when we need to sell it, I will
Yeah.
make sure we get the absolute highest price for it.
I'm still more of a deal guy too, and I think that it'll only be for a certain period of time where I'm this deep in the operations again. But I think I like kind of almost going back and forth.
No, but you seem really good at it.
I must kind of go back and forth. So
that's good that you could do both. That in the future, so I'm very focused on the paving company right now and growing that. In the future, because apartments still is my end goal. I want like 10,000 apartments, like no partners would be the idea. When I go back to that scaling, I think having a operational business partner that owns part of the company is key. Having the right person.
Well, that's the thing. I mean,
Fills in the gap.
I'm not. There's people that are like, "Hey, will you third party manage?" Da, da, da. I'm like, no. I mean, that comes up a few times a year. Like, "Hey, do you guys?" No. I don't want
It's a
anything
terrible
to fucking
business to
do.
be
Yeah,
in.
I don't want anything to do. You need a lot of scale. I mean, you need to be Greystar,
Yeah.
like or it's nickel and dime. It's nickel and dime.
Yeah, and it's a thankless business,
Yeah.
and there's like zero profit margin.
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna make any money off of managing other people's stuff.
No, unless you do a shitty job and don't provide the service, and then keep all
and even
just
if you do a
management
good
fee.
job, you're still gonna get somebody harping at you
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
all the time. Yeah, it's a thankless business.
Yeah.
I would never want to do.
I would think the only
Ever.
way we get in a third party is if I can buy a third party property management company that has like 20,000 units, and somehow it can be like a feeder.
That could work. Yeah.
Because then you're getting, now we're acquiring.
First right of refusal
But then
on
it's
all your
like,
clients'
but
buildings.
then I'm like, is the interest really aligned? And do I feel right about that? Like from a moral standpoint? Because like if I'm trying to buy these deals, not that I would just bury a now
drive the value down and buy it at 10 cents on a dollar, and then
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know if I could feel right about that.
That's,
I don't know if I could I don't know if I could mentally my values could align with doing something like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would never. That's what I'm saying. It would be
Jordan
hard.
Belfort
It'd be
shit
hard.
right
Yeah,
there.
it'd be hard to. I think it'd be hard to get that aligned that way. But, yeah, that's stuff that goes through.
third
my
party
mind.
management's not worth it.
No,
I don't think it's worth it.
no.
Everyone that I've known that's ever done it, when they're in it, they want to get out of it.
Yeah, we did have one contract that was like I think 60 units, maybe like 2019, early 2020 or something like that, and it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
And like, the guy's like, well, why the rent's not higher? I'm like, because you fucking won't put any more money into it. Like I'm like telling you, hey, here's what the rents could be, but we got to do this, this, and this. And like, well, these are vacant. I'm like, come look at them. Come look at these. Who wants to live in these? He finally came and was like, oh, you're right. Da, da, da. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I gotta be done. I'm like, here's someone that can maybe do it.
Yeah.
I'm giving you I'll help you through the next 60 days, but you got to find someone else. And then I'm just like, I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah. I would never.
Third party.
Not worth it.
No. So,
But manage your own. I think it's good to have in-house management because, again, the best property management company I've ever found was still only a 7 out of 10 if I were to
Right.
rate them. The
Yeah.
best one. I've been
Yeah.
through like 7 or 8 of them. And they were good, but they were still like 7 out of 10. They were not perfect.
yeah.
They've missed a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I just think it's one of those things. It's like you'll never find a good property
Yeah.
management company.
What's your advice? We talked about this a little bit at lunch. What's your advice to someone who's looking to? We talked about how this kind of came up, Joel, at lunch, where we talked about how isn't it like someone just always wants to go grab coffee to pick your brain, and I'm like, fuck, I don't drink coffee. I don't have that time. I don't want to.
Greg
and like,
Cardone posted a funny video the other day. He's like, I already had fucking coffee. I want to get coffee with you.
I don't want to get coffee
he's
with
like, I
you.
already
I
had
just like
coffee
I'm
this
not
morning,
being
I'm
mean,
good.
but like my time can only go so far, and then like I teach you something,
Yeah.
and then you don't even go do it, which is why I actually started charging for like masterminds
Yeah.
and stuff like that, because I know now if at least I'm doing it, I'm gonna
Yeah.
get paid to be there. I can buy some apartments with that money, and then you're gonna actually go do something too. But like, what's your advice to somebody who's maybe listening to this and doesn't know where to go, and then they're asking someone like you or I, hey, can we get coffee? And that person's like, well,
Yeah.
fuck no, we can't. Like, what's their advice? Where do they go from here?
I mean, there's so much free advice you can get on YouTube. And I have an entire course on YouTube of how to buy apartments, and it's just free sitting there. And it has like no views on it because I don't promote it. I mean, what I do, because you see a lot of people, you know, you do coaching, this and that. That's not our main business. Mm-hmm. It's like, if you wanted to go make $1 million, $2 million a year coaching, you probably could do it. Not that hard.
Yeah, no.
But it's not, you're a deal guy. You buy apartments. You're an operator. I'm the same way. My outlet for teaching people is I have a little group I run. It's $300 a month. I do 1 call a week. It allows me to get all my knowledge out to people that are actually doing something with it. And I don't feel like shit for charging somebody 30, 40 grand. And, you know, then they never do anything with it. So that's kind of like my outlet as like a cheap way to teach people and help people. And then for me, that's a source of deals. Yeah, for sure. So that's my benefit from it, right? It's like I get a lot of people that come in and bring deals to me. But there's so much free knowledge. Like you go on YouTube, books. I mean,
what percentage did you learn while you were actually in the heat of the like in the actual game versus before?
Everything. Like I think
100%.
I mean, like 95, man. You know, like
I would say like 97, 98%.
Yeah, it's high.
The stuff that comes through.
You can read books and listen to podcasts your whole life, and you'll stay at the same level of wealth for your whole life.
Well, that's what
you have to do something about it.
So with my mastermind, people can pay it's like a $5,000 to $10,000 ticket, the different ticket options, but it comes with a mastermind. But then my biggest thing is, no matter where you go, no matter who you learn from, you're gonna when you get to some point, you're gonna have to learn something new, or getting started, you're gonna hit like a glass ceiling. And so like with ours too, we meet weekly with that ticket. They get nice. You know, so there's a weekly call that we have as well, because then people bring those issues. Yep. And now again, we help bust through that ceiling, because no matter what, like nothing, it's always like, you know, nothing can be, you can't just set like there's not an exact path. Mm-hmm. Like you can mimic other people and whatnot, but like no matter what, everyone's journey is going to be a little bit different, and like different obstacles are going to come at different times. And some people will be a little bit further along before they hit this obstacle than other people and whatnot. And so that's been critical for us, is to have, you know, but again, the people that out of my mastermind, there's been a lot of successful people that have come through there. But the most successful people are like taking home what they learned
and doing
it, immediately implementing.
Correct.
Then coming to the call and say, hey, look, this is what I did. I did this, and now I'm really stuck. What would you do?
And maybe they bring an actual deal and have a legitimate question about an actual. That's the best. Yeah.
And so like we've got guys like just that do that, and they fucking like crush it. Where like if you ask them how much would they pay to have me help them and stuff, they're like, I could give them 20% of my business, and that's worth
totally worth it.
$250,000. I'd pay them $250,000 to come.
That's exactly right.
But again, it's because that action piece is so important. That so many
I tried the coaching thing, and I think I had like 7 or 8 people pay me $20,000 for like a 3-month. Like I would get on call with them every week and like give them my entire business, like everything, all my documents, templates for everything. I would tell them everything. I would give them my relationships, my attorneys, my brokers, like to find deals. The same brokers I work with, I would introduce them. Yeah. And maybe one of those 7 or 8 people actually ended up buying a deal. Yeah. And so I stopped doing it. I'm like, I don't need. It sounds weird. It's like that's not my main source of income was coaching, and it didn't feel fulfilling because most of the people didn't end up doing something with it. It feels great when somebody goes and does something with it. Yeah. And I was like, I'm just gonna go back to doing deals. So I don't know. Yeah. It's interesting. But it is fun, and I actually genuinely like working, especially with young people, because I started this really young. I like working with young people who do actually go and make something happen
100%,
and hustle
me too.
and put a deal together. That feels really good to help give that, because I had so many people help me along the way. Yeah. Like I could not have done what I did alone without the mentors I had and the people. And but back when I started, there wasn't a lot of, you know, coaches and podcasts. There was like 1 or 2. There's maybe a book or 2 out about it, and I had to earn my mentors, man. I had to freaking like
start.
Go through a lot of people trying to ask questions and learn to find a couple who'd give me the time of day.
Well, the people that I think have taken my stuff, whether it's my book or again my mastermind, whatnot, it's the people that already like had something. Like they bought a single family and were renting that, a duplex, and they're like, how do I get to the next level?
Correct.
So like those are the people that I love when they roll up into our mastermind, because I'm like, all right, you already shown that you can do something.
Correct.
You can do something and have done something, and now it's like, okay, how can I accelerate this? And now it's like, now you can pour some gasoline on that, and those people are usually the people that haven't done anything. I mean, it's always like hit or miss on if they're gonna actually go do something because they've never actually done it. But yeah.
What's your biggest goal? Like, what do you?
Again, it's like, to me, it's so like, I know this is bad, but like, to me, it's every single day I want to close the gap from where I'm at to where my potential is, and it's not just in business. It's with my family. It's with like it's health and wellness, spiritually. It's all of that. And I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I feel wrong for that being my answer, because like sometimes I feel like it needs to be more definite. Now, obviously, I have like
you have certain
targets.
And you've
I think that's different, because I use the word targets and goals and whatnot, and I view them as differently. But like my goal is to again like close that gap in my potential, and then once I close that gap or start to close that gap, make sure I also never want to actually reach my potential, right? So they should be moving like this,
100%,
right?
Matthew McConaughey talks about that. I love what he said.
I should never actually close the gap, because the moment that I close the gap a little bit, it should expand that much more.
Yeah, I
right.
agree.
And so, but now that being said, like my targets, like I've got like money targets, and because again, it's like, but it's like, what can I do with those targets? Mm-hmm. So it's certain places I want to travel with my family, right? And it's like how we're traveling, and it's what we get to do. Those are on the list. And so like for me to do whatever I want with whoever I want, whenever I want, like I know I have these different targets in business. Like I know it based on how much cash flow each deal throws out. I know about how many units I have to have, or how much money I have to have to work.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So like all of those though, I don't really like view that as the goal as much as I do the targets that then is getting me to do what I'm wanting to do. But then eventually I like it's still, to me, is about closing that gap from where you're at to your potential, because eventually, I mean, how much money is it where you can already do whatever you want to do with whoever you want, whenever you want? Yeah. Right? I mean, I don't know what that number is. I mean, is it $500,000 a month? Is it? I mean, shit. And that's the thing too. Is person to person, it could be different, because someone could be like, oh shit, $20,000 a month. I could do whatever I want with whoever I want, whenever I want. Well, what are you doing? Right?
Yeah,
and like where,
that's right.
And so like I think that thing is so different, and so I think as I evolve, and so I never have an exact way to answer that. Like most people I feel like do, and I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's okay. That's a good answer though.
Yeah.
I think you're always chasing your potential.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the moment you stop doing that, I think people like you and me, start going crazy.
Yeah.
Getting bored. Like I can't go on vacation for more than 4 or 5 days without, like if I'm actually like laptop down for more than 4 days, I think I'm like gonna have a
even
stroke.
when we travel, like
I need to get like even if I'm just on vacation working a little bit, then I'm good.
Yeah, and that's what I do.
I need to be doing something.
all my trips, there's whether it's early mornings or I still get up pretty early usually, and I beat people up, the family up. I don't beat people up, but I beat people up in the morning.
I beat my family up.
I beat people up in the morning. I beat people up in the morning. I get up earlier than the rest of my family in the morning.
You beat the sun up.
And beat the sun up. And
he beats his son up.
And so and so
I'm just kidding.
That's when I'm hopping my laptop still.
Yeah.
It's crazy, like whenever I go on vacation, and we take like 4 really good trips a year, and usually around there 3 to 4 really good trips a year. And then we got like little other mini 2 or 3 day things here and there, like around the state or whatever. But like anytime that I do get away for a little bit, I love being on a plane. Because I actually think really good on a plane. I get work done on a plane.
I get you on a plane today.
Yeah, not your plane. Not with you flying. I need 200. I need more. I want someone more than 250 hours of experience. Like I think good on a plane. Awesome. I get inspired when I travel.
Nice.
So like other things come out of travel for me as well.
When was the first time you flew first class? I'm interviewing him now.
When was the first time I flew first class? I don't even know. That's probably how unimportant it is to me. I fly first class all the time now. Well, I take that back. We're going to Hawaii, and there was not the last couple times we've gone to Hawaii, which is an expensive first class ticket. There's not been a first class seat on every plane. So
Really?
we went from the last time we went. Was it the last time we went? Yeah, I sent my wife because she was pregnant with our. Yeah, so it was April of 2024. I sent her like 2 days early, so she got to go. Then my stepdaughter and I went, followed out. So we went. My wife went first class. My stepdaughter and I went first class, and we had like the lay down seats.
Nice.
Well, on the way home, they didn't have any first class tickets, which again, I'm not like, it's fine.
Yeah.
We sat in the far back.
All
The
the way
seats
back.
didn't recline at all.
Yeah. Oh, the
Like,
worst.
but it's great for like our kids to realize,
Yeah,
okay,
great
mom and dad can
perspective.
do this too. And it's like, I didn't fucking
Yeah,
complain
you don't
about
give
it.
a
I didn't.
shit.
Yeah. So
That's how I am.
when did I first fly first class? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember the first class flight I took.
I think I was like 25 or 26. This is like 3 or 4 years ago. Because when I first was in business, I'm traveling a lot of conferences. I'm like Spirit, like trying like all the hacks, but I'm backseat of American
I
and
hate
Delta
Spirit
trying.
and Frontier. I hate it.
It's the worst. But in Spirit, the cool thing is like if you
My
get,
daughter
there's,
does say
like,
that
these
she
big
hates
seats in the
Spirit or
front.
something like that. It's funny, but
There's like $50 extra, and you get these first class side seats
Yeah.
in the front of Spirit. But it was like the hack when I was getting started. But yeah, like the last 3 or 4 years, once I started flying first class, I didn't want to go back, and that kind of led me even more into like flying myself everywhere. But a month ago, I missed my flight by like 4 minutes, and they rebooked me a flight, and I was just so grateful that they were able to find me a flight and they had a seat in the next hour, but I was literally in the middle seat in the very last fucking row of the plane.
Yeah.
And again, I didn't care at all. Like, I was like, I'm just glad I got a seat
so
on the plane.
it's preferable, and that's what but there's plenty of times that we don't fly first class. First private flight I took was we went to a football game, a Wisconsin at Ohio State football game. We took me and my family. There's 6 of us or 4 of us. Was it 4 of us? 4 of us that went, 6 of us that went to that football game, and we went
That's
there.
badass.
Yeah, it was sweet because like that when you learn like, okay, no TSA, so we hopped, like it was to see it in movies is one thing, but then you actually
walk through a
experience it.
small FBO.
Yeah, well, we didn't even do that.
Past the front desk. You got the car right up to the
yeah, we had the
plane.
car.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
they
we
go
just
through the gate.
hopped on,
Yeah.
and then we landed there, and like it was like a total of like 45 minutes, and it's normally like a 9-hour drive or whatever, and because you gotta go around Lake Michigan and whatnot, and like we were there walking outside the stadium there at Ohio State, and we're like, wow. That was so fast. We like it.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel like we're in Ohio right now because of how fast that happened. And then we were back in bed. It was like a 4 p.m., 5 p.m. start, and we were back in bed at home by like 10:30 at night, 11 o'clock at night or whatever.
Private flight is
'Cause
the
it's
best
just-
kept secret, man.
yeah.
But it is
They're expensive.
hella expensive. Yeah.
So we don't do it. We don't splurge on that all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't remember the first class flight.
Yeah.
So.
Dude, hell
Cool,
yeah.
man. Well, I mean, Joel, I don't know if you have anything else right now.
Just
or,
our final.
Yeah. So every episode, the previous guest leaves a question for the next guest, and then they answer that, and then you'll ask a question for the next guest, and you don't know who the next guest is going to be.
So they left a question for me,
They
and
did.
then I'm going to leave
Yeah.
a question. Do I get to
Yes.
hear that question first?
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
going to tell you the question now.
That
And
might
then
give
you're
me
going
some
to answer
ideas
it,
on
and then
what
you're
I
going to
can ask
answer
the
it.
next
Yeah.
person.
We've had a good range.
Yeah.
Good range.
We're
Okay.
due for a shitty question again because these have
Oh,
been some pretty
God.
good ones lately.
Oh, God.
I'm just kidding. I want to see what his reaction is going to be.
That's awesome.
So this question is, what is your biggest hesitation you have right now in taking action and making the decision for the next steps?
Man. I think the biggest hesitation right now with what I'm doing is I don't have like guides. So when I started in real estate, I had some guides and mentors that I picked up, but in the paving stuff I'm doing now, I don't have any guides or mentors, I don't have a ton of industry knowledge either. So one of my biggest hurdles.
Dude, that's actually your fucking blessing. Not
Think
having
so?
industry knowledge. I'm sorry to not blow
no,
up your
please,
question.
yeah, no, please.
Because I think you're not like tainted.
You don't get skewed.
Yeah, you're not gonna be skewed. Like in my mind, that's a good thing
I think okay, I can see that.
because you can go into problems. I got so sick of in my company hearing when I had people that were 10, 20 years in the business being, well, this is an industry standard. I'm like, well, fuck that. The rest of the industry sucks then. I don't know.
Right.
Because I don't have experience other than my experience here. So I've never been industry standard.
Wow.
And so I think that in the paving business, if you're wanting to be the biggest paving company in Texas, like I actually think you not having a background, well, the cool thing is you have the guy that has the sales that has a background, but then you not having a background should be able to bring solutions to that business that maybe
Fresh look.
Yeah, it's a
You're
fresh
going to have
look.
a totally creative outside of the
Okay.
box thought process.
Sure.
That I
be a
think you should view as an
superpower.
asset.
Yeah,
That I think you should
yeah.
view it as an
Think of
asset
it
to be
differently.
like,
I like that.
Well, there you go.
Flip it around.
Now you don't
That's
have
a
any
positive-
hesitation.
I don't even know what the
Now
question
I
was.
got no hesitations.
yeah.
I'm
So
good
I had to
go,
pop in
man.
there right there because I'm like, shit, that's gonna be your
God
superpower.
damn, okay.
Like that's gonna be your superpower.
Yeah, I think you're right in a lot of ways. And I've actually, now that you mention it, I noticed that in a lot of things that I'll bring up with Matt, my business partner. I'll tell him certain things, and he doesn't really push back a lot, but he'll like provide like counter arguments. I'm like, no, like think of it this way, and then we'll try something. He's like, wow, I'm glad we tried that.
For sure.
Because he's got the
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
got the built-in.
And you get again like so like everyone around here was like, let's get to 92%, let's get to 95%, right? And it's like
no, let's get to 105.
110. Let's get
to 110, man. Come on.
Yeah, and then you get people pushing back. But then it's like, well, what if we split portion of this, right? And it's like then all of a sudden now everyone else is thinking too. Oh, we don't have to be industry standard, right?
I like that. Yeah. But I would like to get some mentors and some people that have built big construction companies,
Yeah.
learn from them a little bit. So it'd probably be like hesitation. But in general, no, I feel pretty not hesitant.
Yeah.
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 That's good.
What question you got for the next guest?
I would say, is there a skill set or a position right now where you can hire one person to double your income? Like
Love
what can you think about that hiring one right person could allow you to double your business, double your income?
Okay.
That'd be my question.
Love it. Awesome.
Sweet.
Well, David, I appreciate you coming
Cool.
on, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate
man.
you
Thank you so much.
flying the plane up here.
Yeah.
Maybe when you get to 1,000 hours and you got your
bigger plane.
Yeah, the bigger plane. Maybe at
Yeah.
that point, maybe we'll do
Give
a
you some room
podcast
to
up there.
stretch.
But I just like to be selective with who my pilot is. You know, it's funny. I always do play the game of like, all right, and I tell my friends this. If I truly really think like, and I've always said this when I'm on a plane, I think about okay, if this plane goes down, or it's like if something happened to two of the pilots,
Yeah.
or however many pilots are on the plane, and if there's no other experienced pilot with any experience, you know, on like if you were on the plane, I'd be like, all right, yeah, you go for this. But like, I'm like, if I can talk to radio control,
Yeah.
I'm like, I think I could land the plane. I'd be like, all right, I'm going in, I'm doing this. Like out of the 300 people on the plane, I'm like, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
I'd probably fight over it. Like if as long as no one else had any experience. If there's anyone else that had any experience, then yes, obviously you roll with it. I'll help you. I'll help you.
Right.
But like if no one else has experience, I'm like, I'm doing it.
That's
So I'm
right.
like, I feel like as long as I can talk to the people on the ground, I'm like, I could land it.
Dude, there's like a serious meme going around in like the pilot. I don't know if this is everywhere or just the pilot world right now. That's like average non-pilot males thinking that they could land a plane is like the biggest.
I'm that guy.
It's like the biggest level of arrogance in a man. And trust me, I was that guy too before I even got my license. I'm like, if pilot dies, I'm stepping up. I'm not letting anyone else get up there. I'm fucking going and landing this plane. I'll be able to do it.
So you're playing
you
right
have
now.
very little odds of landing it safely, in my opinion.
I'm
just gonna say,
even if someone's talking me through it.
Me, pre-pilot's license, if somebody's talking you through it, it would be very, very difficult to land the plane
Hey, this
without
is my
people
podcast.
getting
Shut your
injured.
mouth.
Without people getting injured. I'll tell you this.
Injured is one thing. Dead
Yeah.
is
Hey,
something
no,
very
yeah,
different.
I
if
think
we
you'd be able
make
to
it.
get it
That's
down
right.
and people would live. Would everyone live? I mean, you're not 110% there, but
So all right, so you're playing.
Maybe 92.
If you're playing, if you passed out because you didn't eat enough.
So let me counter your argument.
Okay.
So my plane is called a Cirrus, and this company has been making planes for I want to say like 30 or 40 years, maybe 40 years now. They are known in the industry for being the only plane to come standard with a parachute built into the plane.
Oh, I was going to ask you
sweet.
earlier. I was going to
Yeah, I was
ask you if
wondering
there was a
about-
parachute
yeah.
or something
My
when you were
plane has
talking about
a built-in parachute. So every
cool.
time I
Oh
bring
yeah,
passengers
I've seen a
up,
video of
Yeah.
this. The actual plane, not
the
you.
actual plane
like
has
the actual plane.
It's the
I've
safest
seen
plane
it.
in the
I've seen
world.
it.
And other than a twin engine, which again, if you have a twin engine, one could go out, the other could still fly you. But
Right.
if both go out,
Yeah.
Wait, but you're single, right?
so mine's a single.
Yeah.
So but it has a built-in parachute. So I give a safety briefing whenever I bring passengers up, and basically I say, if something happens to me, there's 3 things you do. You press this blue level button. That'll literally just automatically, the plane will level out and fly itself. All you have to do is press this little blue button. Second thing is try and wake me up.
But what do they do after they push the blue button? Because you're going to run out of gas at some point.
Well, I'll tell you next time.
Okay,
So try to
good.
wake me up. And if you can't wake me up, there's a lever right in the top, and you pull it down, and that shoots a parachute out the back. The entire plane has a massive parachute that shoots out the back. And the last thing you do is pull this red lever, and you cut the engine. And the plane will 100% guaranteed safely fall to the ground. It's never failed.
Yeah.
So
What if does it float if it's in water?
You'll have to get out and swim. Yeah, I mean, it'll probably float for a little while.
Okay.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't happen over water,
Okay.
but at least you'll hit the
Hopefully it's
ground
like a
and you'll
cornfield.
live. A cornfield or something.
The idea.
Yeah. So,
All right.
it's the safest plane.
Okay. All right. So your plane
That's
doesn't
the
count.
backup. If
So you
there's no
think
other
that
pilot.
that'd be a 0% chance of me landing a plane?
I don't want to say 0, but it's definitely not 100.
50-50?
Of like a big commercial airliner.
I mean, yeah. I'm not usually on a smaller one. I mean, even
if somebody's really walking you through it,
That's
and
what I'm
you have
saying.
like plenty of fuel to like
yeah.
practice a little bit on the way down. I mean, man, it would be tough for you to hit that runway, dude, with a big commercial
Yeah.
airliner for you to hit it right. Yeah, maybe.
I'm just
I
gonna
wouldn't
keep
wanna
being
find
confident. I'm just
out.
gonna be. I don't want to find out either.
I wouldn't want to find
But
out.
I'm just saying, just in case.
You know what though? I'll tell you this: if you had just like 2 hours of practice, I think you'd be able to do it
Oh,
with
really?
a much higher rate. But if you're literally stepping off your
Sure.
seat in row 38B,
Yeah.
walking all the way to the front and fighting everybody on the way there, and you get in that seat for the first time ever, and you're like, holy shit, what the fuck is are all these buttons?
Yeah.
It's so much more complex than like the plane I
The
fly.
odds are, though, if you're on a plane with that many people, and we'll wrap this up because I know now we're just rambling, but
It's the best
sometimes
part.
it's the best part.
It is the best part. Nobody watches Joe Rogan to learn how to buy apartments.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm just thinking about, okay, like if there's 38 rows and there's 4 people, like what is that? That's so 76. Here we're back to math. So like 150 people on the plane. Like out of that, someone's got, like odds are, right?
I think odds are.
Someone
Yeah.
on there has
I
got
think so.
some type of.
At least 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, how many commercial flights are you on that you see other pilots just
Tons.
on the flight to
Yeah.
go somewhere else?
Oh, that's an
or
idea,
to, you know
too.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
A lot of times they have layovers. But
Hey,
if there was
right.
no other and it was your first time, I'll put your odds if they were talking you through it. I think your odds of landing the plane on the runway
With no casualties.
with no casualties would be very low.
are we at a
Really?
one
All
to
right,
3?
go back to
50
what you were gonna
30%.
say.
Yeah.
Go back to what you were gonna say. Putting it on the runway.
Putting it on the putting it on the runway, I think you could probably it's probably 60% chance, 70%
Yeah.
chance you put it on the runway.
Yeah.
That's not
And
bad.
Right side up or upside down?
Well,
Right side up, you'd be
Okay.
fine. Yeah, I
All
don't
right.
think you'd flip. I don't know. I mean, the thing's gonna be an autopilot, so they
Right.
really
Until
have
you're
to-
like 30 feet, right? Or
Yeah.
100 feet? If that?
I guess a couple hundred feet off the ground, it could
So
already
still
have been on the flight
still
track.
still a lot of ground to cover there, and
I don't know
still
if they could
a couple hundred
remotely-
feet in the air.
I wonder if they could remotely program autopilot to get you lined up, and then they just tell you like take it down. In that case, you'd have a significantly higher chance.
sure.
All right.
Yeah. Be nice.
There are a lot of controls.
I wouldn't
like,
want to be on the plane.
There are a lot of controls. There's a lot. Like I always kind of take a peek in there.
Yeah.
Like, damn, there's a lot of shit. There's like just stuff everywhere.
I think if it was my plane, you'd have a very high chance of figuring it out.
actually landing.
Yeah, it would be very rough.
You talking about a good chance of like pushing the blue button and the pulling the lever.
That's 100% chance, brother. Putting it on the runway, you'd be able to figure it out. You'd feel it out. You're smart. You'd probably figure it out, but it wouldn't be very fun, and you probably would end up running off the runway at some point.
There we go.
Yeah.
Cool.
So let me train you. Give me an hour or 2 with you up in the plane to teach you how to do it,
Just
and then
can't
at
do
least
it.
you're prepared now in an event that you have a plane wreck.
Just
It's
can't do
worth
it. Which it is kind of ironic though that I think that I could land a plane, but I won't go with someone who's got 250 hours in his plane.
In
You
the
know what I'm
safest plane you can fly.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where we should end. So, David, appreciate it, man. Thank
Thanks,
you for
brother.
coming
Absolutely.
on.
Thanks for having me out
Appreciate
here.
it. We'll talk to
That's
you guys
fun.
next time. Thanks for joining the Let's Get It podcast.
Later, guys.
That's funny.
That's awesome.